All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Alan Devlin. I'm an anchor here with Atlanta News First. Thank you so much for joining me on the First Alert desk. I'm going to walk you guys through a couple of our top stories here today. We've got a lot going on that happened in Atlanta, and then shortly after that, we're going to have First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin step up and walk you through some of the weather. Here's a hint. It's hot. It's really hot outside. So that's pretty much what we're keeping our eyes on weather-wise, but I will leave that to Cutter. I'm going to jump right into some of our top stories here. It's been a busy week so far, to say the least, for the metro area. If you've been anywhere around a TV, a radio, or your phone in your hand on social media, you've seen some of our top stories, whether it be the quadruple shooting that happened downtown or the bus chase that happened the same day. We're dealing with water relief for some areas, and we had a hazmat situation go down on I-20. That's kind of where I want to start here today, because that is one of our latest stories that broke right around, I want to say 5 o'clock ish, is when we first got word that anything was happening in the first place. So take a look at this. This is video from the First Alert chopper overhead of that scene there on I-20. We were working on learning details of what happened. All we saw was this massive traffic pile up here where nobody was moving on either side of the highway. Take a look for yourself. There's no traffic anywhere. Eventually, police were able to tell us that this truck right here was carrying some kind of hazardous material, and there was a crash involved, and it spilled out on the highway. Now, we don't know what that material is, but GDOT decided it was enough to kind of do a little bit of that highway shutdown and a few evacuations in the area until they figure out exactly what is going on. Big traffic nightmare out there. They did end up getting it all hauled away. That roadway is not fully reopened, but for the most part it is. If you're in that area, probably just go ahead and find another way to get home if you're going to be traveling up and down I-20, just because of some of the residual backups that might come from having a complete shutdown like that both directions. We're going to have more details on this coming up later on, starting on Atlanta News First at 10 o'clock, and then later on Atlanta News First at 11, once we get that information. It was one of those situations where we really had no clue what was happening, but we're going to tell you about those safety concerns and those traffic patterns as soon as we can. That's what we made happen there earlier today. The second story I want to talk to you about is one that might give some of you guys, make you kind of twitch a little bit when I talk about the water issues we've had in Atlanta. You probably remember about a week or 2 weeks ago, actually, it first started that Friday, that Thursday night kind of. Atlanta water main breaks started bursting left and right, and a lot of us were without water, especially on the east side of the highway here, right in Midtown and downtown. You might still be a little questionable about your own water intake, but good news, they have repaired 99% of those breaks and water is flowing once again. The emergency has been lifted, but now we're kind of dealing with that aftermath, honestly. That's kind of what it is, which is how do we stop this from happening again, right? And on top of that, a lot of people lost a whole lot of money in that process, businesses, I should say, who had to shut down because they didn't have water. Well, now there's a new idea to get those people the help they need, or at least kind of pay them back for days and days without the ability to host a business, the ability to serve food, the ability to wash your hands inside an office building. It was a mess. But Brittany Ford is at Atlanta City Hall with some details on what could play out to get money back in those business owners' pockets.
Side Street in downtown, the ongoing aftermath of Atlanta's massive water main break.
That kind of set us back.
Luis Guerrero, owner of the Greatest of Plates, has been able to reopen, but like many, is dealing with revenue loss.
On a good weekend, we'll make at least $25,000 in sales.
And needed repairs.
Our AC system is water-based, come through the water lines. It's been in and out.
He's one of several businesses in dire need of the city's promised assistance.
We haven't had any type of direction.
Invest Atlanta has finalized key details on the $5 million water relief program.
We were able to find out that realtors and lawyers impacted, yes, but were able to go home and continue with work.
Those eligible who will be prioritized include restaurants, daycare centers, small businesses like coffee shops or cleaners. Businesses that won't be able to apply include work-from-home businesses, liquor stores, CBD shops, and nightclubs. If you have insurance, you're still able to apply.
The second, what I heard from businesses is they were very concerned that if they use their insurance, that their deductibles may go up. And so what we recognize is that a lot of our smaller businesses are more than likely not to be using their insurance.
In the meantime, Guerrero says they're leaning on the community.
To everyone local, if they're in the downtown area or near the downtown area, and you could support the small businesses, that will really help us out a lot.
City Council is expected to vote on the measure at its next scheduled meeting for Monday. If approved, the application process for this would start June 24th, with funds expected to roll out by the end of July. In downtown Atlanta, Brittany Ford, Atlanta News First.
So hopefully they can get some relief. Hopefully they can get some money. Hopefully they can figure something out that'll help out these people. Because imagine if you had to rely on water, not just to, wash your hands or take a shower or go to the bathroom, but to literally pay your bills. If water was reliant, or if you were relying on water to pay your bills, you'd probably look at that whole emergency a lot differently when that water stopped flowing. It's basically like the money stopped flowing, honestly. Last thing I'm going to talk to you guys about here today, we're going to have some fun. We're going to take it up north. You wouldn't consider this the Northeast, but we're going to Illinois. We're talking in Illinois, the Indiana. Talking about the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark, she is playing the Atlanta Dream up in Indiana. They're facing off. The Fever have not been having a phenomenal season. The Dream are hoping to keep that trend going. They just got to slow down, probably one of the most talked about WNBA players of all time, if not the most talked about, honestly. Here she is. She was warming up earlier today. She's having a pretty good season for a rookie. I think she is playing under expectations, but she's overplaying what's realistic, if that makes sense. But, that's just one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, you have a phenomenal Atlanta Dream roster. Ryan Howard, Cheyenne Parker, Haley Jones, Tina Charles, Alicia Gray, all playing, trying to get a W tonight. I actually went to college with Alicia Gray, which was interesting enough. She's now, of course, got traded to the Dream this year. But Bailey Burmaster is actually up in Indiana for us. She is right there, going to be at this game that's airing right now on Peachtree TV. She spoke to Caitlin Clark up close and personal about, honestly, some comments our Atlanta Dream veterans made about the way she's handling this media attention. Here's what Clark had to say.
People can talk about what they want to talk about, create conversations about, whatever it is, but I think for myself, I'm just here to play basketball. I'm here to have fun. I'm trying to help our team win. Obviously, we've won 3 games, and we feel like we've been in a position to win a few more than that. And my focus is on helping us do that. But I don't pay much mind to all of that, to be honest.
She's there for hoops. She's there to play basketball. So are we. That game, again, Peachtree TV, Peachtree Sports Network. You can tune in and watch it right now. I'm sure I need to check the score, honestly. In fact, let me pull up the score for you guys really quickly before I let you go, and then pull Cutter up here. Let's see.
59-44 Fever at the half.
59-44, the Indiana Fever have the lead at the half. So the Atlanta Dream still have some time to come back and make it happen. We'll see if they can. Hopefully they can, because the Dream are having a pretty good season so far, and the WNBA is in a moment right now that they have probably never seen, I'll be honest. And it's really good to see another women's sport there take the command that it has. And a lot of that has to do with Caitlin Clark, but it has to do with all of our wonderful WNBA players, including our women right here in Atlanta on the Atlanta Dream. Beautiful shot of our skyline here over Midtown and downtown as that sun continues to set. I think sunsets in the next 5, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, you'll get that glow.
Something like that. I've got Cutter Martinoff here off to my right talking about that glow. We're going to get it here in a little bit. But I'm going to bring in Cutter. He's going to tell you guys directions to the nearest pool, the number for your HVAC systems repairman, and probably how to make a nice ice-cold drink, because we are all going to need it. And how much the current rate for ice cream cones, because it is ice cream eating weather. Cutter, come on in, man. It's all yours.
Yeah, so as Alan mentioned, heat is the big story here. We are tracking big changes in temperatures. Today actually not too bad by comparison. It was warm. Temperatures cranking back up into the upper 80s, lower 90s, but we're going to be in the upper 90s, close to 100 degrees before all is said and done as we get into the weekend forecast. So again, thank you for tuning in and for watching. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin. I want to remind you, if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, YouTube is the place to be. That's the Atlanta News First YouTube account. here to answer any weather questions, comments, concerns. So we're streaming, of course, on many platforms right now. I want to thank you for tuning in and let you know that we're going to just chat here about the forecast. And if you do have any weather questions, I am here to keep you updated. And unfortunately, heat, as Alan mentioned, kind of the big forecast here, the big takeaway of what we have going on. First alert weather days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because those will be the hottest days of this kind of hot weather period. And keep in mind, we're going to keep it in the 90s going late weekend on through the majority of next week. In fact, there's no clear and obvious cool signal in the forecast, really looking like overall we're going to be dealing with hot weather. It's just a matter of how hot and how far above average we are, day to day. So going ahead and now shifting gears, talking weather, just letting some new folks join. Don't want to dive too quickly into the details of the forecast. Don't want anyone to miss anything. But of course, if I need to clarify anything, you can always reach out to me on YouTube, as mentioned, Atlanta News First, the account that we are streaming on right now. 87 Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport. We are 88 degrees in Thomaston, 85 Eatonton, 79 in Helen, 85 Athens, 88 LaGrange. LaGrange over to Eatonton, you all were in the low to mid 90s today. And today is day one of an extended period of hot weather. And today, not a first alert weather day. Really not a big jump up in the temperature until we get to tomorrow. Though, tonight and early tomorrow, I do think you will notice that it's just a little bit warmer than it was this time yesterday evening. We spend the entirety of the evening, the overnight period in Atlanta, inside I-285 at least, in the 70s. And it may feel just a little bit more humid. So do keep that in mind. Keith, Mayfield, and Mark G saying the volume is low. Let's see. Can you hear me now? Is volume any better than it was earlier? Give me a heads up, Mark. Hopefully it's better now than it was earlier. I kind of switched some things around, bumped it up just a little bit more. Mark is commenting, as well as Keith, saying it was quieter earlier. Let me know if it is now better. Willing to bet it is. I'm seeing levels up in the orange now. So again, we're getting feedback on YouTube right now about the volume. If you do have any other questions, comments, concerns, Mark, Keith, Michael, hello to you. Thanks for tuning in, for watching, giving us that heads up as well. And you can always get your questions answered. Keith is saying, yes, it is better. Okay, good to hear. Had a little issue there, but should be fixed now. But Keith, just keep chatting with us if you have any other issues. So hour by hour forecast. Temperatures continuing to cool. And if you did miss the past 30 seconds or so, it is going to be a really hot stretch of weather on the way. Already it is warm. Today, though, not too bad. We were just shy of 90 in many spots. Low to mid-90s, though, from LaGrange over to Eatonton, Lake Sinclair, and Oconee. Everyone's temperatures get a bump up tomorrow. We're back in the low to mid-90s in the city of Atlanta, mid to upper 90s further south. And I would say upper 80s, the rule up in the mountains, Mark and Keith. So tomorrow, a first alert weather day. We're highlighting a day that has abnormally hot weather. After all, it is June. It is Georgia. It's always on the warm to hot side, but even by our local standards, we're going to be close to records here as we get into the weekend. So just keep that in mind if you have the outdoor plans. 64 for your low temperature tonight, up into Ella J, 67 Helen. Now, again, we're above average, both afternoons and nights. That's the thing. That's a tricky part of a weather setup like this, where you just don't cool off as much in the city. Think about the urban heat island. You may have heard that term tossed around before. We just have so much pavement. Pavement, basically a rock, hangs on to the heat of the day, and it just doesn't lose that heat as quickly. So it keeps all of the temperatures up around where that pavement is, which in a city like Atlanta is pretty much everywhere. So we do have hot weather building in. Hottest Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Those are first alert weather days. Hour by hour forecast. Again, as we get into tomorrow, the day starts fairly comfortable, warm by morning standards, but considering how hot it is going to get into the afternoon, not a terrible start, considering that afternoon temperatures are going to be in the 90s, solidly in the 90s, maybe some upper 90s sprinkled in there. So hour by hour forecast. It's going to be toasty. Temperatures heating up, 88 degrees by noon. So lunch hour tomorrow, it's going to be toasty. In fact, already by noon tomorrow, about as hot as we were at 3 to 4 o'clock this afternoon. So getting hotter more quickly as we get into the day tomorrow, the afternoon tomorrow, 3 p.m. 92, 95 tomorrow afternoon. High temperatures across the board will be warmer tomorrow, as much as 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees. Normal high is 87, below and past that, 95 degrees tomorrow. Now, if you're looking for an escape from the heat. Tomorrow's a Friday. We're going into the weekend. It's Father's Day weekend. If you're looking for a regional place to go, maybe not the plane ticket, but the car ride, I would suggest going up to Ellijay, Helen, maybe Clayton up in Rabun County, Hayesville, Clay County, North Carolina, because it will be just a little bit cooler up there. Temperatures shy of 90, so 80s, a little bit more tolerable, lower humidity up there as well. Opposite trend, though, if you're going to Lake St. Clair and Oconee, Putnam County area, Eatonton, it'll be more humid there and just as hot, so it'll feel even hotter, I think, in Eatonton versus, say, the city of Atlanta. 95 your high temperature tomorrow in LaGrange. It's going to be a toasty one out there. Pickleball is a pretty popular activity nowadays, this time of year especially. But on those courts, whether it's pickleball, tennis, I know, in fact, I actually know some parents that have students that are now not students, they're on summer vacation, and they have other kiddos out at camps and stuff, golf, tennis, stuff like that. You don't have much shade on the court, on the green, so make sure that you are supplying them with plenty of water. Hydration, really important on a day like tomorrow, with temperatures soaring into the 90s, and it will feel even hotter than that, of course, in direct sunlight. Don't forget that these temperatures, that 90 in the afternoon, that 95 early evening, that's in the shade. That's where we get the official data. So at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, the climate site for the city of Atlanta, that temperature is in the shade. So the records that we approach, those were temperatures in the shade. It's going to be even hotter, easily above 100 in direct sunlight, and it will feel even hotter in the shade at times this weekend as humidity starts to creep back in to the first alert forecast. Obviously, when we're talking summer, we're talking heat. That's the case this go around, but we're also watching the tropics. It is hurricane season. 13 days, nearly 2 weeks past the official start, June 1st. And we are watching an area of disturbed weather. This is what caused all of that flooding in Florida. A 20% chance of tropical or subtropical development, likely tropical in this case, but a low risk as it parallels the southeast coast and heads out to sea. As far as Mexico and the United States are concerned, probably a more impactful rainmaker developing looking ahead. I know Florida's already had heavy rain, but looking to the future now, the more impactful system may be this area of storminess that is forecast to gradually, slowly organize across the Bay of Campeche, the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, spreading deep tropical moisture across much of Mexico into Texas, Louisiana. Keep in mind, Mexico has been dealing with record heat, record drought. They could use some heavy rain, maybe too much of a good thing, though. And this tropical moisture also filtering back into Texas and Louisiana could produce some flooding rains as we get into next week, really starting Sunday, Louisiana, and then spreading eastward on to the state of Texas and Mexico as we go through next week. Back home, 95 tomorrow, 98 on Saturday, the hottest day so far this year, hottest day of this hot stretch. 96 Sunday, Monday 94, Tuesday 93, Wednesday Juneteenth 92, Thursday 93. So keep in mind, yes, we kind of break the heat just a bit, but it does not really cool off all that much. And a reminder, we'll be keeping an eye on the tropics and your first alert forecast, the first alert weather app on this shaping up to be hot and dry Father's Day weekend. It's a good tool to have. In fact, there's a video update from earlier this afternoon, and we'll continue to keep you updated. In fact, first alert meteorologist Patrick Pete is about to record a new update, put it in the first alert weather app. We'll catch you at 10 as well. Complete first alert forecast, tropical update, and more. Coming up at 10 p.m. on Peachtree TV, Atlanta CW affiliate. And then back on the late news tonight, First Alert Meteorologist Patrick Pete back at 11 on Atlanta News First WANF with that complete First Alert forecast. Going to leave you with a live look outside. Doesn't look too bad, but it is still warm outside. Lots of sunshine, just a little bit of haze. Speaking of the haze, reminder, code orange air quality alert is in effect again tomorrow. We're seeing improving air quality this evening. As soon as the sun comes up, we really heat up tomorrow afternoon. Air quality will become more poor. So keep that in mind. If you suffer from asthma, COPD, other upper respiratory illnesses, chronic, or maybe something like a virus, the flu, short term, best to avoid outdoor strenuous activity during the afternoon and early evening hours. Have a great evening. Enjoy the relative cool down. Big heat begins tomorrow.